The inheritance trap. My fiancé said, "Your grandmother's money should go to someone who actually deserves it, like my family," during her funeral reception. I said, "You're absolutely right." When she opened the envelope I handed her the next day, it wasn't what she expected. I, 31, male, stood watching Jessica, my fiancé of 2 years, work my grandmother's funeral reception like a networking event. Gran had been buried 3 hours ago, and here was Jessica asking relatives about family assets and estate planning. Gran raised me after my parents died when I was 12. She was everything to me. Jessica knew this and also knew Gran had never warmed up to her. A constant source of tension. "She's just old-fashioned," Jessica would say whenever Gran made digs about her spending habits. "She'll come around." She never did. The lawyer pulled me aside after the service. "Your grandmother left specific instructions. Will reading Tuesday, 2 p.m. Just immediate family." He glanced at Jessica cornering my uncle about investments. She was particular about that. Jessica approached with champagne. "At my grandmother's funeral. Baby, I've been thinking about the house. We should sell quickly while the market's hot. Jess, we buried her this morning. I know, but we have to be practical. I talked to my dad. He thinks we need a proper financial advisor to maximize everything." Her dad declared bankruptcy twice, currently living in Jessica's mom's basement. She hasn't even read the will. "Obviously, you're inheriting everything. You're her only grandson." Jessica's eyes lit up. "My family has experience with inherited wealth. My cousin tripled her great-aunt's fortune through smart investments. The investments that actually lost the entire inheritance, but I didn't correct her." Cousin Mike appeared, looking uncomfortable. "Sorry for your loss, man." "Thanks, Mike." Jessica immediately pounced. "Mike, Derek's going to need people who understand wealth management. People who deserve success." That word, deserve. It had been coming up a lot. "Actually," Mike said carefully, "I'm not sure Derek's inheriting what you think." Jessica laughed. "Come on. Derek was her world. Everything goes to him." "But," she continued, "I think the money should go to someone who knows how to use it properly. Someone from a family that understands wealth. Derek's sweet, but he's never had money. My family has. We know how to make it work." Several relatives were now listening. "What are you saying, Jessica?" "I'm saying your grandmother's money should go to someone who actually deserves it, like my family. We'd invest it properly, make it grow. Derek gets security, I help my parents, and the money does some good instead of sitting there." Silence. "You're absolutely right," I said quietly. Jessica beamed. "See? Derek knows I'm looking out for everyone." That night, Jessica spent 2 hours on the phone with her parents, planning how they'd help me manage my inheritance. I heard terms like financial power of attorney and investment opportunities and family trust fund. She was already spending money that didn't exist yet. I spent the time in Gran's study, reading through the letters she'd left me. Dozens of them written over the past year. Each one more eye-opening than the last. Derek, one read, "I see how that girl looks at my things when she thinks no one is watching. Today she asked me 3 times about the value of my jewelry collection. She thinks she's subtle." Another, "Your Jessica called me yesterday asking about my estate planning strategy. When I told her that wasn't her concern, she said she was just trying to help you prepare for your future responsibilities." Boy, that girl has never been subtle about anything. And the final one, dated just 2 weeks ago. "I've made my decision about the will. You'll understand when the time comes. Trust me, as you always have. Some people show you who they are. We just have to be willing to see it." Tuesday came. Jessica took the day off work, got her hair done, and wore what she called her serious business outfit. A designer suit her parents had bought her for job interviews she never went to. "Maybe we should marry sooner," she said, driving to the lawyers. "For tax purposes. Married couples have better inheritance protections." "Is that why you want to marry me?" "Tax purposes." She laughed and patted my leg. "Don't be silly. I love you. I just think we should be smart about timing." My dad says there are significant financial advantages to being married when dealing with large inheritances. Her dad, the bankruptcy expert. The lawyer's office was exactly what you'd expect: dark wood, leather chairs, old money smell. Mr. Peterson, Gran's attorney for 30 years, greeted us solemnly. "Before we begin," he said, adjusting his glasses, "I want to remind you that your grandmother was of completely sound mind when she made these decisions. She revised this will multiple times over the past year, always coming back to the same conclusions." Jessica squeezed my hand. Of course, Gran was sharp as a tack. Peterson opened the file. The last will and testament of Margaret Rose Henderson. I could feel Jessica practically vibrating with excitement beside me. "To my grandson Derek, I leave my most precious possession, my collection of letters from his grandfather. They represent 60 years of love, and I hope Derek finds that same love." Jessica's smile faltered. Letters weren't assets. "I also leave Derek my grandmother's wedding ring, hoping he'll give it to someone worthy." Peterson looked up. "That concludes Derek's inheritance." Silence. Jessica's grip tightened. "What about the house? Bank accounts? Antiques?" Peterson turned the page. "The house, valued at $1.2 million, goes to St. Mary's Children's Home where she volunteered 25 years. The antique collection, worth $400,000, goes to the History Museum. The jewelry goes to her church for the food pantry. The savings account, $340,000, also to St. Mary's." Jessica went pale. "That's not right. Derek was her only family. You can contest this. There has to be a mistake." Peterson shook his head. Mrs. Henderson anticipated this reaction. She left a sealed letter explaining her decisions. "Would you like me to read it?" I nodded, though I was pretty sure I already knew what it would say. Peterson opened the envelope. "Derek, my darling boy, if you're hearing this letter, it means I'm gone and you're probably sitting next to that girl who thinks she's going to get rich off my death." Jessica made a choking sound. "I've watched her 2 years, Derek. Seen how she looks at my house like she owns it. Comments about outdated furniture and property value. But more than that, I've watched how she treats you. How she dismisses your feelings, spends your money, treats our family history like boring inconvenience." Every word hit home. The final straw came when she called about accelerating estate planning. She suggested redistributing assets while I'm alive for tax implications. When I asked why she cared about my money, she said, "It's going to be family money soon anyway." Jessica bolted from the room. I could hear her retching in the hallway bathroom. Peterson continued reading. "I'm not leaving you money, Derek, because money won't buy you happiness. But I am leaving you something more valuable: clarity about who really loves you and who loves what you can provide. The right woman won't care that you inherited letters instead of millions. The wrong woman will show you exactly who she is when she realizes there's no fortune coming." When Jessica came back, her makeup was ruined and her hands were shaking. "We can contest this. She wasn't in her right mind. Old people get confused about money." "Actually," Peterson said, "she recorded a video." He turned his laptop around. Gran's sharp blue eyes filled the screen. "Hello, Jessica. You've learned you're not getting my money. You're probably thinking about lawsuits." Jessica's mouth fell open. "Let me save you time. I had 3 doctors evaluate my mental state. Brain scans, psychological evaluations, all confirming I was competent." Gran leaned forward. "I also have recordings. Derek's doorbell camera picks up porch conversations. Like when you told your mother you'd be set for life when the old bird croaks. Or calculating money from selling my house immediately." Jessica looked faint. "I saved your text messages about me taking up space and holding on to assets better used by people who contribute to society. Derek showed me those. But my favorite was telling your friend you were basically a millionaire and shopping for a car to celebrate my death." The video ended. Jessica was crying tears of rage, not grief. "This isn't over. I'll sue." "You'll what? Spend money you don't have contesting a will that leaves you nothing?" "Derek, we're engaged. I've invested 2 years in this relationship." "Invested? living rent-free in my apartment while working part-time and spending my paycheck. I was supporting you through her illness. By complaining every time I visited her, asking when she'd finally die. I pulled out my phone, showing screenshots. How much longer pretending to care about her boring stories? When will she kick the bucket? I'm tired of putting our lives on hold. That's not what I meant. Here's another. Your grandmother's selfish holding money when we could use it. Old people should think about the next generation instead of hoarding wealth. We left in silence. In the parking lot, Jessica tried one more time. Let's go home and work through this. Work through what? You waiting for my grandmother to die for money? Never loving me. Just what you thought I'd inherit. That's not true. The woman I loved wouldn't have spent the funeral asking about real estate. Wouldn't have made spreadsheets calculating inheritance taxes. She went still. How did you know about the spreadsheet? You left it open on my laptop. Property values, tax implications, liquidation timeline. I pulled out the engagement ring box. Give this back. She removed the ring, defeated. You'll regret this. Maybe, but I'd regret staying more. I went home and packed her things. 2 years fit into surprisingly few boxes. She came back that evening with her parents in tow. Her father, wearing a suit that had seen better days, tried to take charge immediately. Derek, son, let's talk about this man to man. Jessica's upset, but we can work this out. Families have misunderstandings all the time. We're not family, I said simply. Her mother, a woman who'd never liked me because I wasn't wealthy enough for her daughter's potential, was more direct. You're making a mistake. Jessica is a catch. Beautiful, smart, cultured. You'll never find anyone better. Maybe not, but I'll find someone real. Jessica was sitting on my couch that I'd bought before I met her, crying quietly while her parents tried to negotiate on her behalf. I spent that evening reading my grandfather's World War II love letters, worth more than money because they represented something real. Jessica started texting, apologetic, then angry, then bargaining. I didn't respond but kept screenshots. A week later, she posted about toxic relationships and narcissistic men who use money to control women. A month later, she was dating a lawyer with a BMW. Poor bastard. As for me, learning to cook from Gran's recipes, dating someone who splits checks, sleeping better than I have in years. Gran was right. The right woman cares about the person, not the inheritance. The wrong woman shows exactly who she is when there's no fortune coming. Jessica was right about one thing. Gran's money did go to someone who deserved it, just not who she thought.